Good afternoon, my name is Tim Masemon. Welcome to Free State Central News. Today we're going to be talking to Dr. Molokoane. If you allow me to use that title because you deserve it now. Congratulations, by the way. Welcome to Free State News, Doctor.
Thank you.
We saw people reacted very well towards the article that we wrote about you, and more especially people who are coming from your hometown. And all of them, they were saying congratulations, you worked very hard, and more especially young people. If you can check, you will see that young people, most of them, they were saying he did very well. And can you give us a bit of background where you come from? Because many of them would love to hear where do you come from, how did you get where you are today.
Thank you for the opportunity, and I'm grateful for the messages from people of Tumahole and around South Africa, those who know me. I'm very much happy and grateful with the messages, congratulatory messages, and to Mohale, Tuala Marole. That's where we're coming from, and I can't thank them enough. So basically, I was born and raised in Paris. I'm the firstborn of the late Ndate Jacob Molokoane, and my mom is Mpho Ramoliki. I've got two siblings, and grew up precisely in Mpho Street. My father also happened to have grew up from. So my brief background in terms of what you are looking for, education-wise, I started at primary school, which is called Silukhile, and that's where I did my sub A up to grade 6, which is standard 4. And I further moved to the then newly formed school called Bupasichaba, where I was mentored by the likes of Mr. Sibito, with my principal, Dr. Puta. And I passed there, grade 7, moved to grade 8, where we opened another school by the name of Mpho secondary school, still here in Tumahole as well. And I was mentored by the likes of Mr. Selebano, who was my business economic teacher, and I think he was my class teacher. And Mrs. Roberts, she was like our mom. She always encouraged us, coached us about life, school and everything. So from there we passed grade 12. I think it was in 1998.
Before I allow you to
yes,
any said, somebody will say, maybe can you give us what are the challenges that you met? Because I don't think it was just a smooth ride from primary to high school. Were there any challenges that you met along the way?
Yes, because I grew up without a father. As you would know that my father left the country in the early 80s, and I had my mom by herself, and I had a plethora of my grannies from both my mom's side and my father's side, without taking away the fact that my mother is Manuku, but my grannies, they took charge of my life, my upbringing, teaching me about going to church and the good principles, ethics, and you name them. So you would imagine that growing up without a father, it's not that easy. And my mom at some point was unemployed. And we would go around siblings and ask for money and stuff, and around relatives. asking for assistance here and there. But luckily we made it. We managed to pull through against all odds.
As you were growing, did you have an ambition, maybe saying, one day I want to see myself as so and so?
You know, when I was in grade 9, our teachers would always ask us, what do you want to be when you grow up? I always say I want to be a doctor, but a medical doctor. Why? If you may ask me why, I will tell you that I had a granny who was always sick. She was overweight and all that. She was struggling. And I thought that when I grow up, I want to come up with a solution so that I can help her and many others who were facing the same challenges that she had. But unfortunately, I couldn't be a medical doctor because I had my challenges with mathematics.
Okay.
Yes.
So, your life after matric?
My life after matric was okay, and it went well. And I wanted to go to the university just like any other students who would have their ambitions and stuff, but luck wasn't on my side, and I decided to go to the then Solberg College, where I did my N6 in business management. And after my N6, I further applied to the Vaal University of Technology. It was then Vaal Triangle Technical. And surprisingly, I met the guy called Father Balink. He was the late Father Balink from the Catholic Church, who assisted us with bursary funding so that we can further our studies at the university and stuff. And may his soul rest in peace. He helped us with many other students around Paris, and that's why we're here today doing this interview with you.
With your background at that time, what kept you going?
I had passion of education, and my grannies for my father's side, they will tell me that your father was very passionate about education, and I listened to them. And whilst I was still growing up, because I told you earlier that my father used to stay at the same house where I grew up, I came across a book. It's a motivational book by Dale Carnegie, and inside the book, the first page, my dad wrote something there on the book, said, life is good with 8 of books. So I think that kept me going as I grow up, loving education and seeing what education can do to one's mind. You know, somebody said the other day that education can seriously damage your ignorance. So that is why I wanted my ignorance to be damaged by going to school.
So, after Valtech, where did you go? What happened with you?
I got to Vaal Triangle in 2001, just after I finished my N6 in the year 2000. And when I got there, I actually wanted to enroll for labor relations. If you may ask me why, because my mom and many other people who were working at the factories and industries in Mahul and Paris, they had some labor-related issues there. And I felt at the same time that if I can do something that is related to labor, I'll be able to come up with a solution to assist them. But then I was told, the only course left is tourism. I didn't even know what there was a subject or a course called tourism. Then I enrolled. And in my first year, I was surprised in the class when my lecturer said, do you know that Paris has got too many tourist attractions and stuff? And everybody was like, Paris, such a small town. Then they looked at me knowing that I was from Paris. And they said, Mpho, do you know? I said, yes, as if I was aware of that. And meantime, I didn't know anything. So I only got to know about tourism when I first enrolled in 2001. Then in 2003, I passed my national diploma in tourism. And me and other students, we decided to enroll for BTech degree, same at Val University of Technology, because we were trying to apply for jobs, but we couldn't. Then we said, guys, let us soldier on. And then the next year, 2004, then we passed our BTech degrees. Something interesting with me and my education. Our first year in 2001, we were 120 in class. And when we graduated in 2003, we were 27. Furthermore, 2004, when we graduated for BTech, we were 7. And then, then I said, oh, it was enough. Then let me go and find a job. But I couldn't find a job, not even in tourism or anywhere else.
What happened next?
I have a very close friend who's very close to my heart, Patrick. He once came to me whilst we were seated somewhere next to taxi rank and says, hey, Mna, here are the applications for jobs at SAPS. I said, no, man, I'm not interested in that. He says, no, let's try. I said, no, man, you know, my father was one of the political activists. I thought if I take this job, then I'll betray my father as a police officer. But then I said, oh, let me try. And we proceeded. My friend couldn't get the job, but luckily I got the job. And I was a police for about 5 years as a police constable and attending to complaints, and then further to detectives. And in my last years, I was in the intelligence services of South African police. Yeah, that was in 2010 when I left SAPS.
Do you think that, more especially in our black communities, that maybe young people will still consider to further their education? And if yes, we will provide the reasons, and if no, then we will maybe tell us why maybe they may not see the reason to further their education.
A lot of young guys in our communities are very highly educated, a lot of them. But surprisingly, the black government decided to leave them behind after they told them to go to school and better their lives. They are back in our homes sitting and doing nothing, whilst our government is full of people with less skills, and yet they encourage kids to go to school. A lot of people, they love education. They know what education can do to you. But today, even if you go to school, you steal nothing in the eyes of our government.
Do you think something can be done maybe to resuscitate this thing of saying, let's go back to school? Because we are going to see more and more of people dropping out before even reaching graduate. Do you think something maybe can still be done?
Yes, our government needs to change the way they think, because they say, let's go to left, but they go to right. If they can concentrate on these unemployed graduates and place them accordingly as per their qualification, South Africa will be a better place, I tell you.
You seem to be a very dedicated person, more especially when it comes to education. But somebody might say, even if you are dedicated, there are times when you feel that I'm tired. What kept you going?
Yes, you know, my mom is someone who doesn't say a word, you know. I always listen to her while she's saying nothing, and I always get to read her mind. And she's someone who's always supportive. She was supportive then, even now. And in addition to that, the support I got from my granny is amazing. She would always come to my house and say, "Munna Mokoena, you must study hard. You must study hard and be like your father." And all I know that my father was a staff nurse or something. So then our granny believed that if you are a nurse or a teacher or a policeman, you were highly educated. So, but I decided, no, let me show them what is education. So, and I decided to enroll for my master's degree when I was in the police. And you asked me what kept me going. I saw many gaps in the SAPS, and when I enrolled for my master's degree, I said I love tourism. I fell in love with tourism, and I was a police officer. I said, what is it that I can do for both the tourism industry and the SAPS? Then I enrolled for my master's degree, where I integrated tourism and safety and security, wherein my topic was about determining the perceptions of Sasolburg residents in terms of their safety and security while they travel. I said, let me contribute something to the SAPS. Even if I can leave SAPS, I would have left them with a legacy that would assist them as to what is it that the tourists are looking for in terms of safety and security. So that's what I left for SAPS in contributing to the tourism industry.
Many people are saying some of our police officers, they cannot even write properly. Did you really have friends that you can say, no, I managed to motivate these ones and they also went to school and today they are doing very well, but even if they're not, they're still within the SAPS, but they have a certain qualification?
Yes. I have a lot of colleagues whom I was with at the college. Once they realized that I was enrolled for master's degree whilst I was in the police service, they were saying, hey man, we are also encouraged, we are going to start. Some of them, they left the service now, they are working in other government departments, and some, even today, they still come to me, to my house, with their assignments and say, Monna, you said we must go to school. We are going to school. Can you please assist here and there? So I would gladly assist, and I'm happy with the kind of passion they have in bettering themselves career-wise, because I mean, police is, well, you know, the salary is not good there, to be honest. The salary is not good. So for them to better themselves, they need to go to school and maybe see where they can find better jobs, or grow up the ladder of the police, at least with a qualification, not with only a matric.
Having a PhD at your age, what does it mean to you?
It's actually, I'm actually late with my PhD. Okay. I wanted to have my PhD by the age of 30. Okay. I didn't want to quit school, but circumstances forced me to quit school and go and look for a job. I'm actually consider myself a little bit late, 10 years late, but I'm happy, and a lot of people, they say I'm still young, I'm very young, because I attended school with people at the age of 55, 60 as well. So issue of age is nothing, but I'm totally grateful that I have my PhD now, this time, wherein I am going to contribute as well in the industry. Like where I'm working, there is a division of tourism, where I said my topic should be about where I'm working. As I contributed positively to the SAPS, let me do the same here where I'm working at Free State Gambling, Liquor and Tourism Authority. So I have developed a framework, a stakeholder involvement framework on how to develop tourism routes, a sustainable tourism routes. I'm not sure if you are aware there are tourism routes in the Free State.
Yeah, no, the Lion route, the Cheetah one, and I know those routes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we did an assessment and looked at how they perform. And yes, we established that some of them, they were not performing well. And the framework that that I developed is going to assist the government of the Free State or the Free State Tourism Authority to relaunch the routes. You know, the communities where we were doing our interviews, they were saying there is nothing for us without us. Government should not impose their ideas on us without involving us. So they say if they want to have successful tourism routes, they must involve the community. The community must have a say. The community must benefit from the routes. So I said, let us develop this route from the interviews, the responses that we got from the interview, saying this is what needs to be done. That is why I developed that framework, the sustainable framework on how to develop tourism routes.
But do you think government is doing enough in terms of?
Well, I would say they are trying. You know, much as the government is not doing that good, but we shouldn't look on the negative side of things. There is something that they are doing, and there is something that they have done. And our responsibility is to take it from where they left, and we're going forward without looking back at the negative things.
My last question. Matriculants are writing exams in the country. What would be maybe your message to them, more especially in Zimbabwe and President and
Yeah, well, you know, this season is critical, and looking at what is happening in our communities, social ills, alcohol abuse, drugs, and many other negative things. We are grateful to have such a huge number of matriculants enrolled for this year. And my message to them is one, they've already prepared from January. Now it's the last hurdle that they need to go through, and they need not to worry and scratch their heads, because if they did their spade work from January, things will be easier. We wish them well, and we hope that at the end of the exams, most of them will pass, and those who might not make it, it's not the end of the world. You know, my brother, there are so many people outside there. They were not great, they were not good in school, but they did not give up. Our government, as in many African countries, they must focus on vocational education. They must teach our people skills, not only to obtain PhDs and whatnot, but they must teach them skills, how to catch a fish. So we wish them well. We hope that most of them will pass and continue with their lives.